Ready? Thank you for coming today. Oma, if you can stop the music. All right, so happy Thursday. I'll start us off with an opening prayer, so please join me in prayer. Dear Holy Parents, Jesus and Jesus Christ, Antonio, our good ancestors in the spirit world, good evening. Thank you so much for allowing us to come together today, once again this week, to continue reading or doing whatever online ocean forest activities we have. I really pray that today, or I thank you for today, as well as allowing all the members who are here right now, and the people watching on YouTube and Facebook that are here right now. I thank you for all of them, for allowing them to come here. And I also pray that continuously, as we move forward, more and more people can come watch and learn about ocean prop. Um, I thank you so much for everything. We also pray for True Mother and her safety and health, for of course, and we pray that all the things that we do this noke, that it can be used as some kind of condition that can help True Mother's situation become better, the Japan situation become better, and in general help us move forward, help us move Providence forward. We thank you so much for allowing us to be here today, and we pray that you can be with us today throughout the entire call. Thank you so much. We love you. I pray this in my name, Ju Chong, a third generation member of Blessed Center family, attending Holy Mother Han. Amen. Aju. Okay. Sorry if you hear my brother in the background, but okay. So yeah, today is we are going to be continuing from last week's Hinduke. So we had started. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Uncle Jorge. Thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and get started then. So we're continuing from last week, which we had started talking about what the ocean provenance provides the movement. So what is it that, what is it about ocean provenance that our movement actually needs, like, right? So we were talking about ocean church, and today we're going to be going into a little bit of ocean training as well. So some key points from last time. We mentioned how Ocean Providence's goal is to solve world hunger, which is a key problem necessary to solve in order to achieve peace. And Ocean Providence was also to help achieve unity as well as peace. And so the method for this unity would have been to live for the sake of others. And so Ocean Providence is essentially, in one sentence, right, is the providence to substantially live for the sake of others and unite the world and establish peace. And Ocean Church was to be a key thing in furthering Ocean Providence. And so last time we kind of saw, many of True Parents' words talking about how important Ocean Church was meant to be, right? And today we're going to continue talking about the role of Ocean Church as well as what it provides our movement. And just a reminder, one of these key points, right, about Ocean Providence, the most precious and important work in True Father's life and True Parents' life is to feed people. And True Father says in his autobiography, my mother would always prepare food for the passers-by who came from all parts of Korea. If a beggar came to our home asking for food and my mother didn't react quickly enough, my grandfather would pick up his meal and take it to the beggar. Perhaps because I was born into such a family, I too have spent much of my life feeding people. And to me, giving people food is the most precious work. And so essentially, True Father is saying, right, that the work of giving people food is the most precious work. In this section, we will be talking about Ocean Church, the establishment that was to help the movement actually accomplish this work to feed people and the world. So last time we started off with the within Ocean Providence, what was the role of Ocean Church, and we're going to continue that today. And then we're going to finish off with what does ocean training that happens at Ocean Church actually provide the movement? What is the point of it? So we can see, right, that the Ocean Church had great importance within the Ocean Providence. It was somehow key to it. But what exactly was the role of Ocean Church? What did it actually do within the grand scope of Ocean Providence? Well, True Father says that on the boat, through Ocean Church, we can do fishing, witnessing, and youth training at the same time, all at once. So he says, you are taking care of a boat. Go out and catch fish, use the boat for evangelical programs, and train the youth of the city. This boat can supply you with all you need. So he's essentially saying that Ocean Church is this movement or activity centered on boats where we can catch fish, conduct economic activities, witness, and train the youth all at the same time. It was basically something it was basically the prime environment for us to train individuals, do good for the world, and all that stuff, right? But what makes Ocean Church different, right? True Parents instructed Ocean Church to conduct evangelical activities and training, but that's something that the Land Church also does, right? So what makes it actually different? What makes the boats important? Well, True Father says that boat work will be quickly recognized by society. He says, I believe that Ocean Church will succeed more than the IOWC and state centers. Why? Because the work you do with your boats will quickly gain recognition by the city. Someday you may even become the mayor of your city, and the people will elect you based on your contribution to cleaning up their city. Some of you might even become congressmen or senators. And so what he's saying here is that we will quickly be recognized by towns through working with boats and social contributions. But what kind of work, what kind of contributions is he actually talking about, right? What kind of contributions will actually get us recognized by the town? Well, he gives many examples when you read his words, right? One of them, he says, is revitalizing port town fisheries. He says, America, this is an example, right? The United States of America is surrounded by the sea, but has not conquered it. I initiated our fishing business to revitalize the American fishing and sea ports. And so one of the first things Ocean Church was supposed to do is to revitalize fishing and seaports. The other thing that work with boats could do is to educate youth who are losing hope in the modern day. True Father says, I designed the One Hope boat. It is a strong and yet fast boat, and I know that young people will be easily attracted to it. It was designed with young people in mind. I wanted them to use the boat and do things together with you. In the ocean cities, the young people have no hope. They don't have anything to do and just hang around in the streets. They are open to being contaminated by the drug traffic. They have no equipment to go out fishing, and even if they caught fish, they wouldn't know what to do with them. They have no way to gain pride in themselves or self-respect. Another thing that work with boats could do, right, is to develop cities, to help clean up cities and to help solve problems like the drug problem. And so True Father says, I studied the ocean-related cities and recognized that the best way to help America is to help these ocean-related cities. So much comes through these cities and then filters into the country. If we develop these cities and clean them up, we will set the direction for this nation for the next century. The Coast Guard is very important in this regard. They are trying to safeguard the country against the infiltration of drugs, but the mafia is bringing in cocaine and other drugs by the thousands of pounds. If we are to enter into the ocean way of life, we have to cooperate and help the Coast Guard with its work. In that way, we can help this nation clean up its drug problem, and at the same time, we can even help the American fishing industry. Yeah. And so essentially, right, to summarize, right, the work with the boats is basically a way for us to do social contributions, which is essentially equivalent to actually living for the sake of others, living our ideal of living for the sake of others. Right, as discussed before, Ocean Church must engage in evangelical education just as the land-based church, but on top of that, it's meant for the following types of social contributions in coastal towns and cities. Right, through social contributions, things like revitalizing fishery and ports, educating youth who lost hope, helping the Coast Guard in solving the drug problem and developing the cities and cleaning them up, we can be recognized quickly by the town. And True Father said that Ocean Church will succeed more than other churches because we have the means to actually do all these social contributions through the boat. And so what is the main function of Ocean Church? It's to live for the sake of the local town and city. Right, the main functions of Ocean Church can be summarized as follows. So through things like social contributions, we can see that the Ocean Church has both functions of a regular church as well as the Ocean Church. So we have traditional evangelical activities as well as practical activities. So outreach, ideological education, business, ocean training. And so unlike conventional churches, Ocean Churches create economy based on businesses. And in addition, it was True Father's vision to promote our outreach efforts through helping American cities substantially by connecting the business activities and educational activities to social contributions. So next, we're going to take a look at some quotes that regarding the purpose and function of ocean training, right? Because ocean training was a big thing too, that True Parents did often. And you kind of wonder, why did they do ocean training? How did ocean training actually fit into the larger picture of all this? Well, your father says that one of the reasons for ocean training is that through ocean training, he could develop and train human resources for fisheries business and ocean hobby tourism businesses. He says, I created something that did not exist in the United States by sending out people to pioneer ocean church. I created ocean churches in 30 of the most important seacoast locations in America. We can pursue seafood business, but we can also enter the charter boat fishing business. This is the foundation for recreational fishing business I will create in the future. I train people and built Ocean Church as an enterprise that gives tours to people who enjoy fishing as a hobby. And so the Ocean Church was meant to be a place to cultivate and to train personnel for the fisheries business and the ocean hobby tourism business. So he says, the marine products industry in America has reached a stage where it cannot survive without us. A vast and infinite store of resources is calling us. That is why we will use it as our economic base in our global efforts. It is in this area of marine industry that we will find the global economic base that will decide whether we will thrive or collapse in the future. That is how I see it. And he says, I'm leaving again today for Boston. And again, I have an important mission. I will go out to sea not for pleasure, but to lay this foundation for the future economy of the Unification Church. That's my goal. There's no way we can exceed the advances in industry and technology except in the one virtually untapped area of the sea and sea products. And so True Father saw immense potential in this marine industry, right? At the time, it was very untapped, very underdeveloped. And so he saw that as a potential to help create this economic base that would keep our church going into the future and successful. And further on, more on that, right? He says a large part of the economy in the future will come from the ocean. Whoever attains a leading position in the hobby industry will have a profound impact on the world, and this person will be highly influential. Thus, for several decades, we have been preparing all of this for humankind. And he asks, right, so do you understand what I mean by hobby industry? I believe that being the first to make such a worldwide organization is the shortcut in leading to peace in all fields, including the world's money market and human resources. So he wanted us to become leaders in these really important and big industries so that we can have that economic foundation and that kind of foundation on the economic worldwide scale. He also, oh, yeah. And so as we've read from True Father's words, the fisheries industry and the hobby tourism industry were to be this economic foundation of the unification movement. And solving hunger is something the United Nations and many nonprofit organizations have failed to actually solve so far, right? Despite so many efforts and so much money going into these efforts, right? And it definitely cannot be solved without a huge economic foundation. That can be concluded pretty easily. And to that end, True Parents' expectation was for us to be able to build a global economic organization through the fisheries business and hobby tourism industry to help us actually accomplish our goal of solving world hunger and all other issues. And so the main role for Ocean Church and training is to essentially develop human resources for things like business. So Ocean Church was this place to train personnel for the fisheries business and ocean hobby tourism industry. And centered on marine resources, the fisheries business and the ocean hobby tourism industry would serve as a major economic base for the unification movement. And on top of that, the plan was to solve the world's food problems through our economic development. And so to summarize, right, Ocean Church, through training our members, through training young people, we develop and cultivate human resources who can work in things like fishery business and ocean hobby tourism business. And through that, we create this economic foundation that the church, that our movement can work off of, right? And we can manage ocean resources, establish global economic base. And through that, we create results that can actually be recognized by the world through our social contributions, right? Such as solving world hunger, one of the key issues of the world. And so through all this, we're able to basically practice the word, living for the sake of others. And through that, we actually we start going toward the ideal society of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universally shared values. And essentially helps us get to this unified, peaceful world where we have dominion over creation. And True Father, once again, right, as a reminder, he says true peace will not come as long as humanity does not solve the problem of hunger. And it's through Ocean Providence, it's through Ocean Church and ocean training and all of this that we would be able to go toward that. And so how were we meant to contribute to society, aka live for the sake of others, at both the local and global levels? Well, Ocean Providence was this method to contribute, socially contribute to the entire world and to the entire nation on a large scale, right? Solving large issues like world hunger. And Ocean Church was this more localized method to socially contribute to local towns and local cities and more localized issues that are there. And so Ocean Providence is this method of truly living for the sake of others, and unity can be achieved through this. Right? So the more we live for the sake of others, True Father says, the closer we come to the position of the central figure. Since God is like that, he establishes the person who lives in such a way as the central figure. Furthermore, only by living in such a way can ideal and complete unity be accomplished. Now that we went over that, right? What are the theoretical functions and roles of this is just the summary of the theoretical functions and roles of Ocean Church. Sorry. So we've discussed so far that one, Ocean Church is a church that integrates the functions of social contributions, business, and mission. It combines all three into one base, one location, right? And we can see that ocean training conducted at Ocean Church had a clear purpose, which was to develop human resources for the fisheries and ocean hobby tourism business. So above was the actual concept and plans that True Father had designed for Ocean Church. And we're going to dive deeper and further into what the actual Ocean Church was like later on in the future. But in this presentation, we're just going to continue to discuss the true concept between now ocean training that was conducted at Ocean Church. So what does ocean training actually provide the movement, right? What is the point of ocean training and why is it important in this larger picture? Well, what kind of people were true parents actually trying to train through Ocean Church, right? What kind of people did they want to develop? Well, True Father says, with the teachings of the Unification Church and the Ocean Providence, our church members are making comprehensive preparations to solve the world's food shortage. With this, the entire world can find hope. So we discussed earlier that Ocean Church is meant to be a place to develop human resources for the fisheries and ocean hobby tourism business. The fact is, no matter how much anyone develops businesses, without the right ideology, without the right internal foundation, resolution to the world hunger cannot happen. So then what kind of characteristics and ideology did true parents hope to cultivate through Ocean Church and ocean training? Well, True Father says, right, Ocean Church members should pioneer the new ocean era. He says, now we are to begin our training, and this is a new era for the ocean. A new age is beginning. This is a truly historical happening in which you are now participating. They will come here to this very part of Gloucester, to this very house in Gloucester where you were able to hear from me personally about the meaning of this training program. You, the class of 1984, just 76 members, will be considered the Pilgrim Fathers of this new age. And so the early members of Ocean Church, True Father literally called them the Pilgrim Fathers of the new age. All right, and that sounds very significant. And, he was also saying, right, through training, he wanted to cultivate leaders of the ocean era. True Father says the ocean has everything to do with the future, right? Don't you know that? You have to become interested in the ocean or otherwise you will just disappear into history. In the future, the qualifications for leadership will be to know about the ocean. The basic knowledge will be how to handle a boat. To know about the ocean and to be able to go upon it will become the two basic qualifications for leadership in the future. And so Father says that the qualification for a future leader is to know about the ocean. And another reason why training was happening, right, ocean training is important, is to educate the leaders of the unification movement. It's to educate leadership, right? He says, I designed the basic group for the core of our movement who come through the seminary at Berrytown. After graduation, they should first go to CARP and then train on the campus. Then automatically they should come to Ocean Church. That is the plan for educating the leadership of our movement, from UTS to CARP to Ocean Church. After that kind of well-rounded training, the seminarian should go to state leadership. Every state must have this kind of leader. And so he's essentially saying that the basic route for the core of our movement for leadership was to go to UTS, then to CARP, then to Ocean Church. And then through all that, through internal, external training, through the unity of that, then we develop core leaderships that can do great things for the unification movement. And so Ocean Church was meant to be the final stage for training for leadership of the unification movement. Another reason why True Parents wanted to do ocean training so much was because they wanted to develop this special task force, right, that could understand and respond to their instruction and actually carry them out properly and efficiently. True Father says so far, no matter how clear and creative the directions were, they have not been digested and accepted. The message dwindled with each step from leadership to the members until it no longer made sense when it got to the members. However, the leader who moves from CARP to Ocean Church and then to state leadership can understand and respond to my direction. They will be like a special task force ready to respond and go whenever they hear new directions. So according to his words, within the movement that time, right, when he spoke about this, it seems like True Father's instructions, whenever he gave instructions, they weren't being fully or properly conveyed to the members. And so through Ocean Church and Ocean Training, he was training members who could faithfully understand and put into action his instruction, right? If someone goes through actually all this training, including ocean training, then they would be able to understand the full scope of what true parents want, their heart and their providence, and be able to actually understand their instruction. Along with that, ocean training also helps to form a character centered on God. Right? So it's not just about developing practical skills, but it's also about developing the internal aspects of the person as well. Right? Your father says, in order for us to mold our God-centered character, we must know how to deal with the ocean, how to become subject over it, and how to have dominion over God-given creation. And so he says, so he's basically saying, in order to form a personality centered on God, we need to know the ocean. And so in this specific presentation, right, we define global leader in the ocean era. And the Ocean Church is the very place where these leaders of the new era are to be trained, are to actually be cultivated. Sorry. And so True Father called, right, those 76, I think, or something like that amount of the people who went to ocean training, Ocean Church in 1984, they were the pilgrim fathers of this new era. So Ocean Church and Ocean Training was cultivating these future leaders for this new era and helping them develop their own God-centered character. And these people would become leaders that would become core members of our movement. And they would essentially work as this special task force that could understand, respond, and act on true parents' instructions efficiently. And so Ocean Training, in essence, was the training for the leaders of the new era. And so what kind of activities should the leaders of the new era actually be trained in the Ocean Church? New era trained in the Ocean Church be doing? What should they be doing? Well, True Father says that these leaders should be people who can help people starving to death in developing countries. He says, you unificationists must fulfill your responsibility to lead them and care for these people. You should go to the developing nations and become instructors and teachers at kindergartens, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, and universities. You should improve standards by teaching them the most modern agricultural methods. This is how you can save people who would otherwise starve to death. They first need to know how to fish effectively. Of course, the leaders cultivated at Ocean Church has to become ones who can solve the food problems in the developing countries. That's one of the key capabilities that they should be able to develop. Along with that, the ocean training, all the people in ocean training should become people who can devote their lives to these oceanic enterprises. True Father says, when I came to the United States 20 years ago, I judged that current fishing methods would be out of date. In the future, the aquaculture industry will flourish instead of chasing fish. I realized that working in the sea on a boat will become part of the tourism industry, such as sports fishing, which is like a hobby. In terms of lifestyle, I realized that it would be difficult for us to spend our entire lives in the maritime industries without this aspect of hobby. And so he's saying that the leaders of the ocean era are those who are willing to joyfully spend their lives in the fisheries business. Right? They're not just doing it just because it's a job, right? They're doing it because they want to. They have a heart of actually going out there. Along with that, ocean providence is not something that should end in one generation, right? It's supposed to continue on for generations and generations. And so true parents wanted to train members that could continue ocean providence beyond generations. True Father says, when working in the maritime industry, it is important to develop human resources who want to spend all of their lives for it, and that it is a God-given occupation. The person likes the sea in youth, he likes the sea in his middle age, and when he is old, he says, "Oh, I love the sea," and dies. The key challenge is how to develop such human resources and how to instruct and pass that spirit on to their descendants. And as such, right, a person who engages in ocean providence are ones who even connect providence to their descendants, right? They are able to inspire their future descendants to actually join in on this effort. And along with that, True Father says, right, ocean trained leaders should become people who can express God's heart by addressing the hunger problem. He says, don't think that going to Africa and working is a pain, but an interesting. You can enjoy your work and actually do community service work. Imagine that 100 families live in a poverty-stricken village in Africa, and that relief supplies are shipped from 100 countries such as the United States and the United Kingdom. The inhabitants of the land will admire us and say, wow, how great the Unification Church is. It's doing what the world's great powers in the United States can't do. It's really trying to unite the world. And so through your efforts, True Father says, they will be truly grateful to God. Are you all interested in this job? And so leaders trained at Ocean Church would be able to tackle the food problem, and through that witness to masses of people through their actual actions and testify to God and true parents and the ideology of living for the sake of others. And so if we were to summarize, right, what kind of personnel can Ocean Church cultivate? What kind of people does Ocean Church actually provide our movement? Right? It creates leaders of the ocean era that knows about the ocean. It creates someone who can go to a developing country and actually be able to capably improve their living standards as well as bring the solution to food and local problems. And also develop someone who can love the ocean as a hobby and continue the mission throughout his or her life joyfully. And these people are also the ones who can consider this responsibility as God-given and also inherit and pass this responsibility on to their descendants. Along with that, through these ocean trained leaders, we would be able to testify to God through action, through the resolution of hunger problems. And so that's really key, right? Through all of this, we're able to testify through action. We're witnessing through action. And so missionaries and global leaders with practical skills or expertise in the area of ocean providence and resolving the food problems globally, even in underdeveloped countries, are what the leaders of the ocean era should look like. They should be people, missionaries and global leaders, who can have practical skills in things like agriculture, fish farms, electrician, shipbuilding, fishery, mechanic, all these things that can help solve the problems of the world. And so these trained leaders would also help globalize the North American Foundation. Right, so there's the North American Providence that we had talked about in a previous presentation, which lasted from 1974 to 1994 for 20 years. And here, during these 20 years, true parents looked to establish the model ocean church, the model fishery business, and the model hobby tourism industry. And through leaders trained through ocean training, basically leaders of the ocean era, these leaders would be able to go out to the world and actually globalize these models, actually take the model and replicate these models all across the world. And through that, we would solve world hunger and create a unified world of peace. And so the purpose of establishing this foundation in North America from 1974 to 1994 was not just to keep it in America, right? It was for the trained group of people to globalize this foundation made in North America and to actually solve the global hunger problem. And so if we were to summarize everything we talked about today and also last week, right, Ocean Church, which was started in North America as a revolutionary and unique boat-based church that integrated the functions of social contribution, business, and mission. True parents want to globalize this. And also, in order to ultimately solve the global hunger problem, the leaders of the new era, trained in ocean church, were meant to globalize the ocean church, the model ocean churches in North America, fishery businesses, and ocean hobby tourism industry. That's it for today. Thank you guys. So that is the importance of, or that is the relevance of ocean church as well as ocean training and what these things actually provide our movement, right? And why it is still something we need today. All right. So we're gonna stop there and let's see what time is it. Okay, perfect. We'll go ahead and do some reflection for 5 minutes and we'll come back for discussion. So Oma, if you can play some music and I'll see you guys at the 40th minute of the hour. Okay, 5 minutes is up. So please come back. All right. So yeah, we can just go ahead, go straight into reflection. If anybody who is watching on YouTube or Facebook wants to say anything, have any comments or questions, please feel free to put it into the Facebook or YouTube live chat, and my mom can relay it to us. But in the meantime, Zoom people, yeah, anyone who wants to start can go ahead and start. Does anyone have anything they want to share?
Yeah, I can share something.
Thank you, Captain Manny.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff today there. But for me, what I felt is yeah, sometimes, with our enterprises we did and the programs we ran, sometimes we break even, sometimes not. But I definitely see the value, the value in ocean training. I think that is really that creates something that cannot be paid with money. So from that perspective, I always felt like it's a good investment because I've seen so many people who went through the program. Some are excited, some just came because they were sent. And then, but the people who really invested in themselves, kind of like took ownership, I always witnessed, their crowning results. And just being on the ocean is not like on land you can calculate. Ocean you always have to be adapt, flexible. You gotta have a mindset that you kind of adjust to the situation that can always change, in a heartbeat, the weather or the boat situation. Also with crew the situation, if you have tangled or someone's a big fish, can be struggle just getting into the boat and stuff. So yeah, there is something connected to it that is not so much, I think, not always so appreciated. But I see those people who went through that program, some of those people they turned their lives around, and some of them became amazing successful, because their mind they get a concept, they can do. So that's kind of like the point that kind of stands out for me today there, the training aspect.
Captain Manny, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I just got back. That reason I'm kind of like my mind is still with the board, all the stuff that's. So I'm still in a little bit of a gear there. So couldn't quite exactly, fine
Okay,
tune.
thank you. Does
Mm.
anyone have anything they want to add? To what Manny said, or just in general, any reflection from you guys?
I can add a little. So yeah, I I've had a lot of experiences on the water, and the one thing that's special about it is every single one of them has been a different experience. It's never been the same. I mean, sometimes what's the same is that I go out there and I don't catch anything. Like that's repetitive. But what's different is your thought and your attitude when you're on the water. What attitude do you have when going out? Are you tired? Are you mad? Are you sad? Are you happy? Like, and however you're feeling is going to determine how you experience out in the water. Um, and I think, if you go out in the water with a negative attitude and it's a rough day, you're gonna have a you're gonna have a an interesting time on the water, right? Um, and if you go out on the same day, a rough day with a good attitude, it's still going to be a rough day, but your experience is a little bit different because you have a different perspective. And I think the ocean is not meant to make you perfect, but it's meant to make you think about your life, meant to make you think who you are, what's your purpose, and things like this. And just going out once isn't enough. I think going out repetitively, however much that person needs to go out, that person can really grow. So yeah, and it's also it's just basically God's creation. It's you don't have to go out in the water. You can go out in the woods. You can go camping. You can do whatever you want. As long as you separate yourself and you're doing something actionable with God, that's fine. It just so happens that God has created the ocean for us, and it's very convenient for us to go out there and be one with Him. So yeah, and that's it for me.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, me and my mom were I'm Gordon. Yeah, me and my mom were also talking about like what ocean training, like why it's like good, and we were talking about like the whole thing where True Father is like you go through UTS, then you go through CARP, and then you go through ocean training, and I think it's like we learn the ideology, right? True Parents' Word and like the concepts and the principles through things like UTS and CARP. But it's through ocean training that we're actually able to practice living those ideologies and actually practice those ideologies like in actual action. Yeah, and actually become like cultivate a character, right? Because just because you know the ideology doesn't mean you're a good person. I feel like ocean training actually helps you develop the character to become a good person who can actually live the word that you're teaching. Yeah. Anyway, ocean training. I'm of the opinion that ocean can perfect you. But yeah, I might be biased. Any other
If it's okay, if I could like to add to that,
yeah.
I think what's also really, really crucial in someone's growth is reflection. Um, you go out there and then let's say like, I don't know, whatever happens, happens. But you come home and you just go straight to the video games, or you go straight to work, or you go straight to whatever, right? And you kind of just went there just to go there. I mean, nothing really happened. You didn't really reflect. You didn't digest fully exactly what happened to you on the water. Um, you didn't, yeah, for you to really grow, you have to reflect and really pray after the experience too. Um, so, you know, I think it's also important outside the water that you understand and practice the theology as well.
That's a good point. Yeah, reflection is really important where no matter where you are, right? Yeah. Thank you, Jerry. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Wait, can I add something?
Yeah.
So I just uh first of all, I wanted to point out that I really love that quote from True Father where like he said, "Oh, you have to go to UTS, you got to go to CARP, those are all like uh ideology and internal training and stuff like that. And then, you have to become a professional of the ideology, right? Like UTS especially. But then if you don't go to like and then I want you to go to Ocean Church also, because only then you can actually fully understand what I'm talking about, you know? Like you can become a special task force that can actually understand the full scope of what I'm talking about, So I really like that quote because you can really tell that he was trying to cultivate people who can do both. And yeah, about the ocean training aspect, I feel like, yeah, like when we talk about the third blessing or like, mastering dominion over creation, right? Basically, ocean is the most, unpredictable, actually overwhelming number of land dwellers are scared to go. Or like if you think of the deep seas or something, it's like the feeling is mystery and scary, you know? And like, but this world is filled up with 2/3 water surface. And God has intentionally made our planet like that, right? And, True Father said, you have to relate to the ocean 2/3 of your life. in order to fully understand the creation in this world, right? Stuff like that. Like it's not that was not a direct quote, but something like that I've read. So I feel like ocean training was a thing that true parents actually wanted all the members to go through so that we can actually master the unpredictable, become a brave person who can just be willing to go anywhere. Like it's a character training, right? So only through that we will become people who are basically armored with ideology and heart of compassion towards people who are, less fortunate, and the kind of the action aspect that you are brave enough to go anywhere. So like basically trying to nurture and cultivate these like perfect, not perfect, but like very strong, group of people, right? That has both the internal and external and character aspect, like just armored up, ready to go. So yeah, that part I think has escaped a lot of our uh you know I don't I don't want to say like leadership or anything like that, but like a lot of us, right? And has been forgotten many times. But I think this is a key point that I think for anyone, like not our movement, but anyone probably can agree about the character building point of going out on the ocean, right? So, but I think, yeah, that's a great strategy built by true parents. And true mothers' words repeatedly tell us too, right? Ocean is a place, the amazing, the best place to train youth. So stuff like that. So I really like this aspect of ocean training and why it's important, because it is. Um, it's not the final purpose. The training itself is not the final purpose, but to become the person who can do the final purpose, you actually need to go through it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. I have two also, and right? I'm the other one because it's talking about the North, and this Ocean Providence is a way more developed in North America. But I also reflect a lot about this point with true parent, true father was saying about training, and then I think Ocean Providence has a also double scenes, and you can delete of your brain if you don't like, but there is two scenes. So one is um, you can learn in UTS or even CARP, like, oh, I want to give the life for the Providence, and then I want to give every, but actually it's only in Ocean Church, in Ocean Providence, you can actually give the life. And nobody can understand that until, for example, right? One time it was a thunderstorm, and then we was in the beach in the Punta del Este, fishing with the Corvina, and it was a bunch of kids with us. And then I said, run to the house. And then we were having this 33 roll, that's a graphite, right? We're talking about like a thunder attracted on the beach. It's the most dangerous things, like a 4 meter, 4 meter, 33 roll. And I holding this roll that was in the beach where it was all together. And I said, please strike to me but save those guys. I'm still alive. Nothing happened. Even the electricity, and I didn't receive anything. But I was really happy to give my life. And actually, no symbolic. Yeah, but you are in UTS in the classroom and teach about the Bible. Yeah, we give a life, yeah, of course. But when you are ready to do that, prepared to do that, it's the ultimate offering. The second one is the most dangerous thing for me. you can delete this like somehow. Uh, you are the captain of the boat. Sometimes you don't have time to call you central figure and say, maybe I see a rock in front of me, and then if I continue in 30 seconds, I will smash this boat. Do you think I should turn around? And you have to take ownership of your decision. So you are the guy. You are the master. You are the captain, right? You are. Sherry's laughing. So the even now, right? Like, absolute faith, absolute obedience. Like, what the? Okay, I don't. Like sometimes you don't have time to call your central figure and then recheck if it's good, right? Like happened many times in Kodiak. We was in a so big fog, and I said, "Man, if you want to kill yourself, you be my guest, but I'm not going anywhere." And I boom, and I put neutral, and I stopped the boat, and because we didn't see anything, and that's the thing is that you decide from your destiny, not your central figure, not your able figure. So so maybe the leadership sometimes wants us to follow all the details of the point and even the scenes who contradict the other scene. So, but we captains, we ocean Providence people, we are not like that. We know where we're going. We know what should be done. So tell me where I have to go, what time, and then leave it to me. This kind of training is the most serious thing. And until you practice mastering, you are nobody. It's just like a moon, right? Like a reflection of the sun. You have no light at all. It's just you follow orders. You're a piece of like somebody put your joystick inside you, and then somebody movie, so you have no any possibility to receive any benefit. And I have a huge meeting now. I have to leave. Sorry, but it is my offering.
Thank you. Those are
Remember,
really good points. Yeah. That
remember,
actually
I'm
like
from
is
South
a really
America.
understanding. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming, even though you have another
I,
meeting.
I will listen the comment later. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So here. Um, yeah, I think those are really good points. Actually, what he said about about like how like this idea of giving your life for others, right? I thought was a really interesting point because I think, yeah, like in day-to-day life, especially in, you know, in like first world country, modern day society, you really like are never in a situation where you actually have to give your life, right? Like you're kind of just sitting in a chair, maybe with a phone or a computer, right? There's no situation where, and like even when you're witnessing like through like DP or something, like after you learn it in carp and stuff, you're not actually risking your life for anything, especially in this day and age where like in America there isn't so much persecution of our church, right? Maybe in Japan it's a different story, but here it's like you're not risking your life. But when you're out in the ocean and actually in nature, like in the middle of like nature, you really do actually risk your life. So it actually like makes you practice that feeling of like being able to give your life for something. So I think that was a really interesting point, and I thought that was a really good point. Yeah. Anyway,
Can
anything
I
else?
add?
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I don't know if we have to go, but
yeah.
uh,
I'm just gonna ask if anyone else had any points.
okay. So the I feel like the whole phrase "give your life" it can be, sometimes it's very real. Like you're in a very threatening situation. Like early missionaries, they go to Russia, and I don't know. I've heard some guy got kidnapped and never seen again. So who knows, right? But I feel like um another perspective of that is giving away your your emotions, giving away your what you're tempted to say or what you're tempted to do, because that's a big part of our life, our emotions and our temptations. But when you can kind of, I'm not going to say like put it away, but just give it to God and let God do the rest. That's, I think people rather die than do that. You know, people people don't want to give away their emotions. They don't want to uh, admit the reality of the situation or admit what's going on that's wrong or this is wrong. You know, or people can't take criticism. Things like it's like there's a many examples I can name, right? Uh, so I feel like giving away your life also has a lot to do with falling on your sword, as the Bible says. You know, um, just give up. You know, you're not actually that important to the whole scheme of things. You actually need to just give up and let whatever's going on take its course, right? Your thoughts and your opinions, they don't matter at that point. They don't matter right now. You know what has to happen is what has to happen. And a lot of people cannot do that. I mean, especially in my generation, we have what's called hustle culture, and it really emphasis about yourself. Like, okay, I'm just going to do everything for myself. I'm going to make the money. I'm going to buy the house. Blah blah blah. Women are a waste of time. This is a waste of time. Everything's a waste of time. I'm going to do, and that's a real thing in my generation. You know, hustle culture, self self help. That yeah, all this stuff. It's a little bit toxic, you know, but anyway, it's a real thing, and I think my generation can really struggle with that, and especially in the church, you know, it's a real thing. That's why GPA is really good. GPA really, you fall on your sword every day. How many times do I want to smack someone in the face because they insulted me or they disrespected me? You know, I want to kill them, but I can't. So, you know, I think an experience like that is good for everyone. And the ocean can really, really do that to you, you know? So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good point too. Yeah, the ocean is number one. Yeah. Okay. It is time to go, but does anyone have any last minute things that they want to add? What?
Yeah, it's not related to that. Can you ask Minobu-san, are we have the meeting tonight?
Oh, Oma?
Oh, that's true. Can we
Or
have
should we do
a
it right
quick
now?
check-in?
Because we are just
No, no, I have another meeting now, so
another meeting. Okay.
yeah, if possible, 10.
Yeah, 10 is perfect. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, great. Thank you for the reminder.
All right, we can end then. Just quick announcement before we end. We do have Connect from New Zealand next week. So look out for the announcement for that. Does anyone want to give an ending prayer for us today?
I can pray.
Thank you, Jerry.
All right, please join me in prayer. Our dearest, most beloved Heavenly Parents, our precious two parents, and our beloved Jesus, we want to give thanks to you once again, Heavenly Parent. You may hear it all the time, and many of us, many of your children may not actually really mean it. Heavenly Parent, right now, we really want to give gratitude to you. And I pray that you can really feel nourished through our gratitude, through our works, God. And I pray that this nourishment can send a vitality to our bodies so we can continue to do your will, continue to do uh, many more of your requests. Sometimes we don't know what your requests are, Heavenly Parent, but we want to keep being one with you. So we have a bead on that. We have a good reading on that. Stay on point, stay en route with your will, Heavenly Parent. And God, I pray that yeah, we can explode with love everywhere we go. I pray that more and more can understand Ocean Providence and that uh, it can save physical lives, Heavenly Parent. And I pray this can grow not by our will, but by your will. So I offer this in my name. All the names here. Amen. Jew.
Drew, thank you, Jerry, for the prayer, and thank you everybody for coming today. And thank you, YouTube and
Yep.
Facebook
Yeah,
people
bye
too.
bye.
Bye bye.
Yay,
Thank you guys.
bye-bye.
I'll see you guys next week for
Mhm.
Connect.